So you've got, how many more lays are there around here? You've got chalet.
Oh, and also,
Holly.
are we filming?
You're a bit silly.
At the top of, remember I said before, on Gore Road, there was the house called Whitestones, and down it was Rectory Road, which is also where the original Grove was. That's still there, the Grove, but in pictures on Capture Burnham, the Grove was exactly how we would imagine, literally.
Is that a Christian grove or like a Druidic grove?
I would say a Druidic grove.
Yeah, so the pagan times.
Pagans, yeah.
Joseph came to these shores.
Well, in all honesty, Joseph was a pagan.
I see. No, I didn't know this.
Well, he would have been. It was before
so
Christianity.
He didn't eat meat or dairy.
Right.
I can't say that for sure.
What aren't you saying for sure?
Whether he ate meat or dairy.
You just said he was a pagan.
So we weren't sure. I thought Joseph came to these shores bringing the news of Jesus, but you're saying that he was a pagan wayfarer.
Well, they would have all been a kind of a pagan because Christianity hadn't been developed.
But it was Old Testament, wasn't it? That wasn't pagan.
Old Testament, no, but they were very pagan-like. So here we are at Burnham-on-Sea Church, St Andrews, which is at the very edge of the border of what was Paradise. The road leading along to the church was called Paradise Road. Now, a very interesting thing I found when I went into the church a little while ago was that here you have the old entrance, like Berrow Church. You have a lot of these old churches have a west-facing entrance that's been changed. Now, not only that, above these doors, as you see on the window, there are two archways, and a little V above the archway, there are two rectangle-shaped vertical windows, panes of glass, which are stained glass windows. Now, as you're looking through them towards the sea here, as you can see behind us, that is, as we spoke about before, the Holy Grail estuary. You have one stained glass window, has the Grail, that's the right hand one as you're looking towards the sea. The left hand one has the Ark. Now, there's got to be some significance of why they've got the Ark and the Grail above the old entrance looking out to sea. Now, the very first recollection of a kind of lighthouse was from this tower. As you look up, it's been bricked up now. Our expert on bricking up will be joining us shortly to tell us what he thinks about this, but that's where the original beacon was for the earliest of seafarers. So not only have we got we can't quite see it now, but over there to the south we have the old, the so-called first lighthouse, the Trinity Lighthouse. Then you obviously had the lower lighthouse, the higher Colting Lighthouse. But this was the very first case of a lighthouse, as was Berrow Church as well. So they're very significant in the whole lighthouse story. What do you think about the old windows? Looks like it's had some sort of brickwork.
You see these ones down here are glass. Those up there, by the look of it, they've been blocked up at some point.
How many % sure are you of that?
38. I've got 38% sure. I think they've been blocked up.
Good enough for me.
At some point using blocks.
So what we just saw was the original pump house for the spring in Burnham-on-Sea. Burnham-on-Sea was like one of the original type of spa towns, and in one of the old newspaper edits that we found, it says that Burnham was the best, or the most perfect watering hole, the most natural and best watering hole in the whole of the land. Now we will show you in a little moment the fountain that was given to the people of Burnham to be able to use and drink the holy water, or the beautiful healing waters, which is now sadly being capped off. So, but yeah, this is part of the paradise story, because within the paradise, within the garden, you had the fountain of youth. So we will show you that in a moment. It's beautifully ornate. Okay, so we have the Fountain of Youth here, and on the coat of arms of Burnham, which is very interesting, you have the setting sun, you have the 3 cows of the bridge over the River Seager, which is the Hathors, I believe. You have the Dendera blue from the Dendera temple, and the motto, Lumen Monstro Pro Salute, which means a great light to greet you. Now, all in all, I believe that the kings and queens of the ancient times would have come here, and they would have, when they would have passed, they'd have sailed out through the River Seager. When the sun set at the right time, they could literally sail into the sun, and that's where it all came through, and they ascended.
Can you put some online?
So here we are in the lovely Manor gardens, and anywhere where you'll always find a church close to a manor house. Here's the old manor house there. It's been changed a number of times since it was the manor house. But the interesting thing is that you usually find tunnels between churches and manor houses. And also, manor houses and churches, they're always on ley lines, but they're also on ancient sites. They were usurped by the Christians from the original pagans, and they used their sites for veneration to sort of, I suppose, appease the people, the original, the common folk, from paganism into Catholicism. There you go.
1999.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Not sure.
Not enough in the past.
M is 1000, B is 500, C's are 10s.
More in the past.
9.
Not 24.
Or 100. Sorry, C is 100.
So
So that's 1900.
This ain't gonna
X
get
is 10.
10.
not gonna make the cut.
50. C is 100, you said?
X1 is 9, isn't it?
Yeah, 1x, yeah. Because
What's
it's
the C?
the 1 before the X denotes
I reckon
going
it's-
down the numbers.
I think that's
The
1999.
1 after the X would be going up.
What's this though?
Because it was built 24 years ago, it did that.
Rubbish. Basically, I want to explain this whole paradise story and how it came about to me. As I had always known about Joseph of Arimathea and the story of him coming to paradise, but I didn't ever really understand it. And through my, I don't know, interest, and I was sort of looking into it, I noticed and realised within the landscape of paradise, or the Garden of Eden, here in paradise, which is Burnham on Sea now, we have all the actual physical attributes you have in the garden here, either natural or built. Now, I'm not saying that people knew when they were building them, because they range in time scale, but here we have now. So from the start you have the garden, which we found, the garden given to Burnham, with a tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. We also saw Mount Sion, where the garden is at the foot of Mount Sion, and Mount Sion is supposedly where Yahweh or Jehovah lived. And also we had the revolving sword of light, which is the lighthouse. And I noticed that one day. I always been thinking to myself,
Several lighthouses,
but the particular one with the revolving sword, and it looks like a sword, the occulting lighthouse.
Yeah.
Then I had found out that in the church, there was what was given to Burnham-on-Sea by Westminster Abbey, of all places, a altarpiece so grand you could not believe it, and it was taken down, broken up, and given to the Burnham church. The former bishop of Southwark, who was also a rector at Burnham, had it brought here, and it's been placed in
I don't do anything. I'm interested.
different sections, but within this altarpiece it has Yahweh's name, and that's physically there in the church. Yahweh, what's known as a tetragrammaton, and it's very rare. But another interesting part is, and we will go to this church on another instalment of Pathfinders, is that Brent Knoll Church also has the tetragrammaton, which I by accident stumbled across. But not only have we got the physical representation of Yahweh or Jehovah, the tetragrammaton, we have the cherubim, and the cherubim guard the garden. So you have those aspects. We have the spring and also the fountain of youth, which, as I can show in a newspaper edit from the 1930s, that Burnham was the finest watering hole in the whole land, and the spring, or the fountain, which I'll show you in a second, was erected in the 1900s for the people of Burnham to enjoy and get the goodness from the finest water in the land. Then we also have the Puzzles House, which was originally called the Puzzle Gardens, and there was supposedly a maze or a labyrinth in the garden. There was also a colony. Now there's a building called the Colony. So all in all, we have all the aspects of the garden, and obviously we have the four-headed water sources from the one main river, which I said in the last episode, the River Axe, the River Seager, which is now dried up but has been put into Brent Broad, the River Brew and the River Parrot. They are all sluiced water gates that fed the garden. So all in, and also Chalet Drive, we just noticed the house there, Holley, which I always thought was L-Y, but again L-E-Y. So we have some real strong connections with the Garden of Eden, all being built, all natural. And also the other interesting thing is that across the road from the garden, where the River Seager came through, there was, it's called St Christopher's Way, but it was a school, a private girls' school called St Christopher's, and St Christopher in the story, we all see on the St Christopher's medallions you get, has St Christopher and the boy Jesus on his shoulder as he crossed the river in the famous dangerous point. Now whether that means that St Christopher was a giant, we don't know, but once again it is a significant part of the story, because he crossed the river with the baby Jesus on his shoulder, or the young boy Jesus. Jesus.
So do you think St Christopher was a giant?
I don't know. I mean, we don't know how deep the water was.
I think he definitely was.
But
Someone who was 5'6" in the ancient times could have been considered a giant, because everyone was smaller then. Everyone knows that from
Jesus
medieval
was
doorways
3'9". I know that
being
for a
quite
fact.
small. There's two questions I would like to ask you before I forget. For
That's
the
why they
viewers,
called him Baby
and they're
Jesus.
probably dying to know the answer to this too. Is one is Yahweh the same as Jehovah?
yes,
So that's two different names for the same guy.
it's like yeah, basically, yeah.
And the other one is, what's the plural of lighthouses?
Lighthouse.
Okay,
Like how?
thank you.
so here we have the colony, but funnily enough we've got the lodge opposite the grove, which you can't see the name of the road, but you see at the moment on the other side.
The locals do call this Hagrid's Hut because it's a bit like Hagrid's Hut from the Harry Potter.
But interesting, if we go along here, you'll see the grove, what was the remnants of a grove, a literal grove. But it's interesting, you've got the lodge and the grove, as in a lodge. Also, we see from these parts, you see the lighthouse, which you can usually see from all sections over there in the distance. Rose-tinted spectacles, I call it, because it gives like a bit of pink.
What, the sun?
Over the sun, so I can look at it.
To look at things through rose-tinted spectacles means to look at everything in a pleasant way.
Well, yeah.
Maybe naive.
Yeah, maybe, but without the sun hurting my eyes, I can literally stare at the sun. You'll be able to see it as well.
Sunglasses?
I don't need to. I've got my own.
You're staring at the sun.
I'm staring at the sun.
No, you're not going blind. Everyone said you go blind.
Well, not when the sun's going down or when the sun's coming up. We're a little short. So, once again, thanks for watching Pathfinders. Hope you enjoyed it. I just want to say a big thank you to all the people who've liked, subscribed and commented, and we are really starting to figure it out.